speaking. Hello.
Hello, Robert. I'm Andrew. Tony asked me to give you a call.
Oh, right. Yes. Could I just ask, though, which congregation are you, if I could ask?
The same one as Tony, that's East Park.
East Park Congregation, which is in which town? Because I'm...
It's Hull.
Hull.
Hull East. It's on Holderness Road, East Hull.
Right.
Near East, not far from East Park.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Right. Thank you so much. Yes, I was given some literature at the cart, and I've been on your website jw.org. I've been looking at Enjoy Life Forever.
Oh yes.
I did mention to your friend I'd be willing to look at one chapter.
Yes.
But
yes. He said 13, is it, or something like that? Or less than
that's
13.
right. Yes, Warfare.
Oh yes.
Which is lesson 13, paragraph 2, on page 55. Now, do you want me to read it, or do you want to read it, or shall I?
Is that the one that says, "How does false religion misrepresent God by its actions"?
Yes, sir,
Oh yeah,
yes.
you read it.
Okay. Thank you. When you speak to me, I'm dyslexic, so it might be better to make just one point rather than multiple points slowly.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
No problem, Robert.
Thank you so much. False religion does not treat people as Jehovah does. The Bible says that false religion's sins have massed together clear up to heaven. For centuries, religions have meddled in politics, supported wars, and caused or approved the death of countless numbers of people. Some religious leaders enjoy a lavish lifestyle and demand money from their followers to pay for it. These actions prove they do not even know God, yet alone have the right to represent him. It seems to say that if a religion meddles in politics or if it supports wars or warfare, then it can't represent Jehovah. I mean, have I got this right?
No, you got it right. Myself, I used to be. I wasn't always a witness. I was brought up Protestant and Roman Catholic, and as I got older, excuse me, I meddled in it. I went from church to church and what have you, and I treated the witnesses just the same, impartially. And this is one of the questions that I had. And basically, in James 4:4, it says, for example, that those who want to be friends of the world make themselves enemies of God, or at enmity with God. And then Jesus himself said that the whole world, or through John the Apostle, is lying in the power of the wicked one. And that Satan offered Jesus just through one act of worship.
That's 3 scriptures in literally 30 seconds. You need to give me one thing at a time.
Oh,
slowly,
right.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Yeah.
No, that's all right. So if we go to James, let me just see if I can get it up. I like to use non-witness stuff if I can, and I'm on what's called BibleHub.com, and it's an online Bible source. It's very popular. And if I go to, say, James 4, let's see now.
Adulterers and adulteresses, do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Whoever therefore wants to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God.
That's right. So it doesn't matter if it's adulterer or adulteresses. It's basically anybody who. This is talking spiritually. So if somebody wants to go on with the world with its greedy commerce, we live in a world, as Paul says, but we can't get out of it. But we're in it, but we don't have to be like it. So people who want to be friends with the world, it's greedy commerce, it's wars, it's politics. Then it plainly says, it's like the Roman Empire back in the days of the early Christians, time of the apostles and the early Christians. They were no part of the system of things. They wouldn't hold political office. They wouldn't join the army.
You're making multiple points. Christians did hold political office. That's clearly taught in the Bible. And there were many Roman soldiers who became Christians. We know that because we have graffiti from the 1st century.
That's right.
Near to Hadrian's Wall, where the Roman soldiers who converted to Christianity had made Christian graffiti in their camp.
Yeah, that can be explained. Tertullian was long after the death of the Apostle Paul, the Apostle John, and all the apostles. If you look carefully at the New Testament, no Christian ever joined the armed forces. There were those, for example, like Cornelius, when they converted, they became Christians, but they would have resigned.
You're going
their office.
so quickly from one point to multiple points. Honestly, I just switch off. You need to make one point slowly, sir. I'm being very gracious and polite.
I'm sorry.
I think that your reference to James 4:4, when it talks about friendship with the world, many religious groups say, well, if you're not a member of our group, you're a friend of the world. And they point to the group down the road and say, look, the other religious groups are all friends of the world, but we're not. You've made multiple points there. You did say, did I hear you right, that a religion should not involve itself with politics?
That's our understanding, yes, because Jesus himself, they tried to make him king, and he wouldn't have anything to do with it. He went away because that's why the other Christians, again, they would not get involved in the local system of things, even though they were hated by the scribes and the Pharisees and what have you, Herodians. Jesus would not allow himself to be made king, an earthly king. That's why the kingdom is heavenly. That's one point. And as I say, no early Christian got involved in politics. That came later on, as Jesus foretold about the parable of the wheat and the weeds, and the apostles again foretold the falling away.
You see, you're making multiple points, and you go from one point to a second point to a third point. I can't respond to any of this. And by the time you're on your third point, I've forgotten what your first point is, which means that I have to then ask you to slow down or to repeat yourself, which means we're wasting time. We'd go a lot quicker and achieve a lot more if we deal with one thing very slowly. Just one point at a time.
Yeah.
Now, the point I wish to ask is, why did the Jehovah's Witness Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York joined the United Nations in 1991? They took out UN membership in 1991. If they believe they shouldn't be a part of the world.
No, they didn't. I've got a paper on that. That's fake. That was due to the Guardian newspaper. What they did was they signed up as an NGO, non-governmental organisation, so they could access to the archive library.
When they said they signed up as an NGO.
That's right, non-governmental organisation, non-political, non-adhering, like other organisations do. It was to get access to the library.
No,
and what happened was the charter.
No. The person who signed you into membership and re-signed the Watchtower every year into membership as an NGO was Lloyd Barry, your then governing body member. So the governing body member doesn't sign forms every year to take out UN membership for library membership.
Yeah, it was purely, they changed the charter. The UN changed the charter of which membership was allowed, and that was basically to get actively involved in the political arm of the UN, and so the society couldn't accept that, so they resigned the NGO and went to I think was it the Bodleian Library? I'm not sure. I've not got all that. I have got
the Bodleian Library is Oxford University.
Yeah, they went somewhere. I know they went to get the archive footage or whatever it was, and all they joined the UN for was purely to get like photographs, archive images of historic things. No, because you didn't need to take out UN membership to use the United Nations Library at the time. Yeah.
Now things were tightened up sometime after 9/11, when the Twin Towers were knocked down. The UN did tighten up its UN membership sometime after that. I don't know exactly when.
Yeah.
But when Lloyd Barry, your governing body member, signed the forms to take out UN membership in 1991, any member of the public could go along to any UN library and access the information. You didn't need to take out UN membership.
Yeah, well, I don't know all the ins and outs. They became an NGO member for a specific reason, and from my understanding, it was to gain access to archive material.
No, it wasn't, because as I've just said, any member of the public could go along to any of the UN libraries and access the material.
Yes,
it was done for political reasons, for political machinations.
Well, they can't because we're not political.
But they are, because they joined the United Nations. They took out UN membership as an NGO, you see.
That's right. And then they changed the charter, and that's why they had to resign from the UN. That part of it.
No, hold on. When did they change the UN charter?
Well, I have to bring this paper up because there was a specific witness apologist who spent three years on it. UN. Here we go. UN. And if I can get it.
Yeah. Thank you for your help, by the way.
That's all right.
Cheers.
Article. This might be it, or it might not be it. I've got quite a few articles on this. I know the Guardian. Here we are.
I've got copies of the three. There were actually three Guardian articles, not one.
Yes.
The first Guardian article was the 8th of October 2001.
Yeah.
And the Watchtower resigned. The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York resigned its membership the very next day. So it's got nothing to do with the UN Charter. It's to do with the Guardian article. The Guardian article called the Watchtower hypocrites. I'm not insulting you, sir. I'm not accusing the Watchtower of hypocrisy. But the Guardian did. It published hundreds of thousands of copies of the Guardian. It also went online. It went all over the world. The UN received thousands and thousands of inquiries about this. And so many thousands that they distributed thousands of letters through the post. From Paul Hoffiel, who was the chief. I've got a copy of it in front of me. The chief of the NGO section of the Department of Public Information of the UN on a UN-headed paper. And if I could just read it to you, 11th of October 2001, to whom it may concern. Recently, the NGO section has been receiving numerous inquiries regarding the association of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York with the Department of Public Information, DPI. This organisation applied for association with DPI in 1991 and was granted association in 1992. By accepting association with DPI, the organisation agreed to meet the criteria for association, including support and respect of the principles of the Charter of the United Nations, and commitment and means to conduct effective information programs with its constituents and to a broader audience about UN activities.
Well, I have an answer to that.
Could I just finish the letter? In October 2001, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York requested termination of its association with DPI. Following this request, DPI has made a decision to disassociate the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York as of the 9th of October 2001. We appreciate your interest in the work of the United Nations. Yours sincerely, signed, Paul Hoffiel, Chief NGO Section, Department of Public Information, on UN-headed paper. And he's never been sued by the Watchtower. The UN's never been sued by the Watchtower. The Guardian's never been sued by the Watchtower. The Guardian called the Watchtower hypocrites. He accused them of hypocrisy.
No, that's fine. They're entitled to that. As I said to you, I will send you a link. A witness apologist, a researcher, researched this for 3 years, and I've got it in front of me. There's quite a bit. And there's like subsections, PDFs and all sorts, and he's gone through every detail that goes through what you're talking about. I say I don't know every single detail because I don't specialise in this sort of thing. I specialise in the Greek of the New Testament and various doctrines and things like that. So I'll send you this link, Robert.
Can I send you links for you to research?
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
and will you actually look them up if I refer to Christian literature? Will you actually look it up?
Yeah, I have no problems. I read people, for example, online. These days, a lot of things digital now, so not so much paper these days. Yeah, but for example, I go online and I read, for example, what churches say, what, for example, various religious bodies say, Trinitarian bodies, for example.
That's my main interest, the Trinity.
Yeah, that's fine. It's I go on, for example, the Robert Bowman, he's a famous one. Matt Slick, he's another one.
I used to go on to Pal Talk, and Matt Slick would come into my room, and we'd run a Pal Talk room. This is 25 years ago.
Oh, it's a long time.
It was in Pal Talk. We did that for about 2 or 3 years, where I would run a room with Matt Slick. Well, it was my room, but I gave him admin facility, so sometimes he would come into the room and contribute.
Yeah. See, this you'll find that people like me, we don't always specialise in every subject because we can't. We just haven't got the time. But there's, as I say, this was spent about 3 years on, and it goes, as you say, about the DPI, the NGOs, the Guardian. It goes through it took 3 years to go through the whole lot. And what happens is opposers get hold of certain things, and they can say it a certain way. But this is right from the horse's mouth. So this is what a witness researcher has done over a 3-year period. I'll send you the link.
May I ask, please, why has the Watchtower never sued the Guardian newspaper when it called them hypocrites? The Watchtower sues everybody that moves. I knew somebody else on YouTube who used Lego. He made a little town out of Lego, and he called it Dubtown.
Right.
And he had little models of various elders. And there was a fornication town. Elders would have binoculars looking for miscreants, and he did funny voices, and it was like Wallace and Gromit. It was stop motion video, but using Lego, so the Lego would appear to move. In Dubtown, which was a Jehovah's Witness town, and he was taken to court by the Watchtower.
Yeah, I have. This first
so, even a guy making Lego gets sued by the Watchtower because they've got billions. So they can spend millions on court cases. And even if they lose, it doesn't matter because if they can just wreck the other person financially, they can silence critics. So why didn't they take the Guardian to court when the Guardian called them hypocrites?
Robert, honestly, I just do not know.
Right.
I didn't. To be honest, I don't know. There's things. Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? Why did they do this? Why did they do that? I don't know. We don't know everything, you see. But to say my little niche is not so much this NGO stuff. It's more basically the Koine Greek, how it works. Basically, various doctrines. I was brought up Catholic, Protestant. I was brought up a certain way.
Well, Catholic Protestant is very different. Were you brought up Catholic or were you brought up Protestant?
Both, because my mother was Catholic, my father was Protestant, and then they would argue, and I'd go from one school to another school, one church to another church, and back. So I got a taste of both, put it that way.
I'm very interested in that, more interested than in the United Nations and warfare. My main interest would be the doctrine of the Trinity. I'm a passionate Trinitarian.
Well, that's
because,
fine.
If I could just explain, because in the 1980s I got involved in an anti-Trinitarian group called Oneness, or Jesus Only.
Oh, I've heard, the Oneness, they're modern modalists, basically. That's like 1930s. I think it got started.
One of the people who have debated the United Pentecostal Church International is a scholar you mentioned, Robert Bowman. He had 2 debates with Robert Sabin on the oneness doctrine. And to be honest with you, although technically he's very good, he didn't do as well as I think he should have done. And midway through the second debate, he just stood up and he looked puzzled and glared. And he said, actually, you don't believe the Son is God. So it took him 4.5 hours. Each debate was about 3 hours. It took him 4.5 hours to realise actually what he was actually debating, that these people, when they say Jesus is God, what they actually mean is the Father, who they call Jesus, is God. They don't believe in the deity of the Son. But no, I've studied what Robert Bowman has to say very, very in great detail. I would be particularly interested in your view why you reject the Trinity, because I would be a passionate Trinitarian, but that would be a separate topic maybe for another time.
Yes, it's the... as I say, I was brought up believing the Trinity, both Protestant and Catholic, believing the Trinity, and as a boy, as a child, you just do what you're told. When you become of age, you become curious, and it was only when I started in my late teens to study. I watched the film, remember Jason and the Argonauts? Remember that film?
Well, years ago, yes.
That's right, yeah. Well, what happened, what triggered my interest was basically all things Greek. After everything was Greek and Roman, but mostly Greek. And that's what piqued my interest. I watched film after film. And when I got older, I picked up this little book about the Greek philosophers. One was Plato, the concepts, the theory of forms, ideas, all that sort of stuff. And then Neoplatonism, Plotinus, Proclus, and the Anglicans, all that sort of stuff. And then I began to study more seriously the Greek major Greek philosophers, Christian doctrines, church fathers, the patristics, and what have you. And,
what is your main interest?
The whole lot.
No, just choose one.
Oh, the Trinity.
My interest is the Trinity. I'm a passionate Trinitarian.
I'm a passionate non-Trinitarian.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would be happy to discuss that with you, but as I said at the start, I'm dyslexic. I prefer to look at one single thing at a time and concentrate that. I don't like talking for 10 minutes. We go on to a different topic, and 10 minutes later we talk about 144,000, and then 10 minutes later it's blood transfusions. Could we finish off warfare and politics, if that's possible?
Yeah,
and
it's just
I would be delighted to discuss the Trinity on another occasion.
Yeah. It's Jehovah's Witness says we are politically neutral. We won't get involved in politics because man, he doesn't know the answers. If you give him another 1,000 years, 5,000, it would kill each other more efficiently and be to the stars, but we wouldn't improve ourselves. That's the problem. So we don't get involved in politics. One brother killing another brother. We're all brothers, and that's the way we are. In the first century, the early Christians wouldn't go to war and kill. They wouldn't go to war and kill. Jesus laid down his life for everyone, and he set the pattern, the example, that we must love our enemies and do good.
Again, you're making multiple points that I can't respond to. You're going to point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4.
I must apologise. To me, they're all wrapped into one, you see.
I could say that. I could say, well, you need to be quiet now, and I'm going to speak for 20 minutes solid and make 15 points. Yeah. And it would be pointless. It wouldn't be a dialogue. It would be preaching.
That's fine. It's just that we don't get involved in warfare because the first century Christians didn't. And Jesus said they love our enemies. And we've been in concentration camps from the early 30s. The witnesses of the first in the concentration camps.
Again, you're making multiple points. I could respond to each of these points, but you're not giving me the chance to respond to them. I can't even take it in because you're giving me too much information and you're going too quickly. Can I respond to one point you've made? You said that Christians in the first century did not get involved in politics.
As far as our understanding is concerned, and understand the New Testament, we can't see any Christian. Jesus, he wasn't. He started Christianity. None of them got involved in the political system of the things. The political system as it stood then. First century Christians.
Right. Would you give me a chance to respond to that point?
Yeah.
If you go to the book of Romans, we find that there is a guy called Erastus. Paul greets a whole number of Christians at the end of his letter. One of them is called Erastus, and he is the treasurer of a Roman city. Now, I don't know where Romans was written from. It could have been Corinth, maybe it was Ephesus. I'm not an expert in this.
Yes.
But it would be a major city, and Erastus holds a senior political office. He's the treasurer of that city. So I'll read it. Romans 16:23.
Romans
16:23. Thank you, sir.
23.
Yeah. Gaius, my host, and the host of the whole church, greets you.
Which translation are you reading from?
I'm reading from the New King James, Romans chapter 16, verse 23. And I will agree that New King James is not always the most accurate when it comes to the translation of some passages of the Greek. But all of my Bible notes are in this book, and I've had it for 30 years, and I'm more familiar with it. I think the New American Standard is very good. Okay, but it doesn't read quite as beautifully as the King James or the New King James.
Okay.
So, Romans 16:23, Gaius, my host, and the host of the whole church greets you. Erastus, the treasurer of the city, greets you, and Quartus, a brother. So here, named among the Christian brethren, a long list of Christian brethren, is Erastus, and he holds a senior political office. He is the treasurer of a city.
But that could not be a civil. I worked for Hull City Council as an engineer myself. It's a political entity, but I worked as an IT engineer, and that is a non-political job. That's just like a civil job, and it could not have been the same with Gaius.
We're talking about the Roman Empire. We're not talking about 21st century Britain in Hull. We're talking about in Roman 16, first century Rome, and the treasurer of a city is a political office that you are appointed to.
Okay.
And by the way, most of the people who held political office, in fact, I believe all of them, had to have done some stint in the military.
Okay, all right.
But it would take me a while to actually prove that. You didn't just usually get political office. It could happen occasionally if you were a favourite of the emperor, for instance.
Okay.
But almost everyone had to do some form of soldiering, some work in the military, before they then took a political office. So it says Erastus is the treasurer of the city. It could be Corinth, it could be Ephesus. I'm not too sure. I'm not an expert in this, but it's a major Roman city. So it's a major political office. So there's a Christian who is in a major political office. And he's a Christian. He's not, Paul doesn't say, oh, he's an apostate or he's a false Christian.
But I'd have to look this up.
Yeah, sure.
This is a first for me. Because I can't think of everything at the same time that people bring up. So I'd investigate this one, Gaius, and see what sort of office, well, he held the office of treasurer, of course, but what his relationship was to the whole thing with Christianity and the military or politics, and see what that does.
Yeah.
See what I can get out of that. That's fine.
That's absolutely fine. I've no problem with that.
Research, yeah.
A second point I'd like to make would be that today the Watchtower Bible and Tract Societies of both Pennsylvania and also New York, as well as various other organizations such as the European Association of Jehovah's Witnesses, and they change their name. Sometimes they're the European Association of Jehovah's Christian Witnesses, and then they drop the word Christian. Sometimes the European Association of Jehovah's Witnesses. Excuse me, got a cough. I've just been eating a packet of licorice all sorts, which is terrible for me because I've got blood sugar levels and I shouldn't do it. It's stupid of me, and I don't feel terribly well. I've got a cup of tea here, so
no problem.
I shouldn't have that. Now, look, for over 20 years, these Watchtower corporations and other corporations, sub-corporations of the Watchtower, but including the main two Watchtower corporations of New York and Pennsylvania, they have had a long involvement in the political machinations with OSCE. OSCE is a political organization for security and cooperation in Europe. It was set up in the 1970s. There were a series of arms control treaties where the number of nuclear weapons were reduced between the Russians and the Americans. They were called the SALT talks, and OSCE was set up following that, basically as a political body to bring politicians together.
So what does OSCE... I'm just typing this in so I can research it. That's all.
It's actually mentioned in an Awake or a Watchtower from 1997. OSCE, Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. And you'll find it mentioned in a 1997 Watchtower or Awake. Probably because that's when they joined this organization.
Okay.
Because there have been numerous political OSCE meetings that Jehovah's Witnesses regularly attend. For instance, I'll give you one example. Cordoba in Spain on the 8th and the 9th of June 2005.
Yes.
It's got the seal of the Spanish government at the top left-hand corner because it was held in Spain. Now, the first page on the bottom left you'll find the European Association of Jehovah's Christian Witnesses attended.
Okay.
They had the word Christian then.
Okay.
And they sent 2 representatives, Paul Gillies and Marcial Gillett.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the bottom right-hand corner, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Pennsylvania, which is the main Watchtower Corporation, sent Gregory Allen.
Okay.
Now, there are numerous, dozens and dozens and dozens of political OSCE meetings that I've traced from the early 2000s to the late, I think the last one I found was just before 2020. I'm not too sure what their attendance is after 2020.
Yeah.
But the Watchtower's regularly attending these political OSCE meetings, and I just find it a bit strange.
What's the purpose of the people attending the meetings?
Well, they're mostly politicians who attend, so it's a way of politicians networking together. That seems to be the main reason. However, there are also various religious groups that take place. Jewish groups in particular, the World Jewish Congress, European Union of Jewish Students, Turkish Union of Jewish Students. But you'll also find, and I'm looking at the left-hand side at the top of the page now, the Church of Scientology International.
Okay.
So there are these 3 groups that always seem to attend OSCE meetings. Scientology, the extreme Jewish groups.
Right.
Brunei Europe, for instance, also sent a representative, and Jehovah's Witnesses. And it seems that what these 3 groups are trying to do is to urge politicians to change the laws in Europe and advocate what is actually coming in, and that's hate crime. So if you disagree with Scientology, extreme Jewish beliefs, or Jehovah's Witness beliefs, they want to use the governments to say you've committed a hate crime, which at the moment in the UK is labelled a non-crime hate incident. Yeah. But who knows, it might change very soon and it might become a hate crime, which is an imprisonable offence.
Is it a case of, like Paul appealing to Caesar so he can get a fair hearing? Could it be that with these groups?
Paul didn't join the Roman Senate and become a Roman senator.
Oh no. What I mean is, for example, Paul was accused. He was innocent, but he was accused of various things.
He went on trial.
Yes, but he appealed to the highest law of the land.
Yes, at a trial.
Yes, yeah.
What's happening is Scientology, extreme Jewish groups, and Jehovah's Witnesses are joining OSCE. And other political groups, but OSCE is one that I know of. Yeah. And they're joining these political groups to try and exercise influence over European governments and say, you need to make people who disagree with our religion a hate crime. For instance, in Germany and Austria, if you deny the Holocaust, you go to prison automatically. It's a criminal offence to deny the Holocaust. Where they're trying to extend that.
Okay.
They're trying to say if you disagree with our religion, it's a criminal offence, you need to go to prison. You can listen to us, but you can't disagree with us. And of course, I don't know, I'm not an expert in politics or in this field by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just an amateur person who's interested in this and looking into this. But of course, there's also the situation with Islam, which is doing exactly the same. It's saying we want to make anyone who disagrees with us or our prophet or our Quran commit a criminal offence, a hate crime, which will be a criminal offence. So you can listen to a Muslim preach at you, but you can't answer back. Even to answer polite questions back could be labelled a hate crime, because you have to accept everything they say automatically. Well, that would make the world crazy, wouldn't it? Because if you can't disagree with a Scientologist and you can't disagree with Judaism, the extreme Jewish flavour of Judaism, and you can't disagree with Jehovah's Witnesses, and you can't disagree with Islam, but you must agree with all of these religious groups, you've got a problem, because they're all saying different things. And how can all these different things all be true, yet no one's allowed to question or dialogue or even ask fair, sensible questions? Because that's the intent. That's
Yeah,
where
well,
these groups are going. They want to
'cause
make disagreement with them a criminal offence.
I find that quite odd because people disagree with me all the time. They disagree with witnesses all the time. I can understand that.
Yes, but through OSCE, what these religious groups, Scientology, Extreme Judaism, and Jehovah's Witnesses, are trying to do is to say, look, we need protected status where there can be no hate crimes against us. But by hate crime, what they basically mean is you can't question us. You have to accept what we tell you about our beliefs.
It's rather odd because before this OSCE ever existed, people were disagreeing with the witnesses and other groups all the time for decades and decades, so on and so forth. I meet people who disagree with me on when I speak to them on the street and the doors, and I'm fine with that. You know, everybody can disagree with me as much as they want, but I'm not going to start beating them down or anything like that, because that's their right. That's their right. That's the way I see it. Well, you disagree with me, and I can disagree with you.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with you disagreeing with me at all, and I'd love to hear what you have to say on the Trinity, because that's my favourite topic, but not now, for another time.
Yeah. The OSC, I've got organisation. What does the S stand for?
Yes, organisation for security and cooperation in Europe.
Security. Operation, did you say?
Organisation for security and cooperation in Europe. OSCE.
Cool.
And I mean, I've got various ones. Jehovah's Witnesses even led a OSCE meeting in Warsaw.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I think it was 2019, but I'd have to actually.
No, that's fine.
I'd have to go back and find out about it.
And you say it was in a watchtower somewhere, did you, or something like that?
OSCE is mentioned in one of the Watchtower publications from 1997. It's either Awake or Watchtower.
I'll put 1997.
Just do a search for OSCE.
Yeah, that's fine. That's or Watchtower. I'll put 1997 Awake or Watchtower, just to because my memory's not very great these days. That's why I type everything out. And I'm better at writing things than speaking things. That's what it is.
Another thing is, there's a Democratic politician who stood in the 2020 elections for the American state of PA. He's called Vincent Hughes.
Yes.
And he stood. It was what really puzzled me is that if you go to Transparency USA, which deals with American elections and finance, you find that Vincent Hughes has received $12,000 in donations, $10,000 from the Watchtower Property Company of Philadelphia. No date is given, however, and then another $2,000 from the same company, the Watchtower Property Company. The Watchtower Property Company seems to be a subsidiary of the main Watchtower corporations. So why is the Watchtower financing politicians? He stood Senate District 7 in the PA Senate elections. He's a Democrat. He's called Vincent Hughes.
Vincent, I'll just
yeah.
Hughes, and he's a
Senate District 7 for the state of PA, which I think is Pennsylvania. But I'd need to check up on that. I need to go on the internet and check up on that. And Watchtower Property Company seems to be a subsidiary of the Watchtower corporations.
Yeah. This is all new to me, so as I say, I don't specialise in anything like that. It's, as I say, my niche is a limited area. Like yourself, it's like the Trinity, hellfire and the soul. So I specialise in aspects of Hebrew. I'm not a Hebrew expert in any way, because I've got some professors I turn to when I need some help. But it's aspects of Hebrew. And
That's something else I'm looking at the moment. Sorry to interrupt you. The state of what happens when we die, lesson 29 of Enjoy Life Forever. I found that particularly interesting, but I must insist, I only do one topic at a time.
No, that's fine.
I'm not doing the Trinity for 10 minutes, then the soul for 10 minutes, then blood transfusion for 10 minutes.
No.
Yeah.
I do, for example, it's like the Trinity of the soul and hell. The origin, because I study Old English, and it's in the old Anglo-Saxon where the word hell originates. So I tend to focus on those three subjects. Those are my main subjects.
Right.
And I've written many papers on them.
Where have these papers been published?
No. Did I say publish?
You said you've written many papers. Have they been published?
Oh yeah, no.
Okay.
No, it's, no. It's I'm collating a lot of material. Hopefully one day, if I get the time, I can put them all together and send them off to either an online publisher or a literal publisher. I don't know what all these costs are and how to go about it, so I'll have to get some help on that one from somebody.
I have written tens and tens and tens of thousands of words.
Yeah, over the 40 years I've written millions of them.
On the Oneness Pentecostal movement. And I've been thinking the same thing. I would love to publish a book. Oneness Pentecostals answered verse by verse.
Yes, I tackled Oneness Pentecostals, and to me, it's just Sabellianism, Praxeus Sabellius. I can't make head nor tail of it.
I think it's a very clever belief when it's presented well. One thing that you probably might not notice about the oneness view when it's presented well is they don't have one position. They actually, they actually have several positions which they juggle between. It took me a year, but I learnt to juggle 3 juggling balls. I can do it. I can juggle not terribly well. I can't do 4, which is very difficult, but I learnt how to juggle three balls. That's how a clever Oneness Pentecostal operates. Yeah. They do not have one position and they say, we believe this about the Father and we believe this about the Son. It's the newbies, the new converts who will tell you that. When they get experienced, what they do is they will have 3 different positions. One is similar to Unitarianism. The Father's God, the Son is not God. One would be similar to modalism. And one would be similar to adoptionism. None of them are exactly the same, but they're similar to those. They would also have, if they're put into a corner, they will also adopt a Trinitarian position. The very clever ones, like Robert Sabin and David Bernard. You back them into a corner, and they'll give you an answer that could be straight out of a Trinitarian textbook, which would be a fourth view. So what they do is you can never tie them down. You ask them, what is your position on the Son of God? Who is the Son of God? And 2 hours later, you still don't get an answer from them because they're continually changing their position. They seem to be modalists, but then 2 minutes later, they seem to be adoptionists. And then 2 minutes later, they seem to be Unitarian. And then 2 minutes later, when you back them into a corner with a proof text they can't answer, they give an answer that's flat out Trinitarian.
Yeah.
And then 2 minutes later, they're back to teaching modalism again. Yeah, so that's how the clever Oneness Pentecostals operate. David Bernard and Robert Sabin, who I think is dead now. But the less experienced, the less clever Oneness Pentecostals will give you one position. Yeah, and that's easy to refute.
Well, when I've talked to them, I just my first instinct is to go straight to the scriptures, but I go straight to the Greek, and then I go to various English translations.
I think what you need to do is to tie them down and say, what is your position? What do you believe on this?
Yeah,
can I write that down? Let me confirm. This is what I have written down. Do you believe this about the Father, and do you believe this about the Son? Never mind the Greek or the Hebrew. Is this what you believe? Yeah. When they say yes, Then you say, okay, what about this or that or the other? And what you will find is, if they're a clever oneness Pentecostal, they will immediately start disagreeing with their definition they've just given you.
Right, they contradict themselves.
Constantly. But they don't contradict themselves in one way, they contradict themselves in 3 or even 4 ways. And one of the ways they'll contradict themselves is they will actually, if they're backed into a corner and there's no way out, they'll just give a Trinitarian answer.
Yeah.
So they will say, for instance, the Son is created. There's no eternal Son. Right? So you say, well, John 17:5, that the Father loved me before the creation. No, I can't. I'm getting old. I can't quite. Right. And now, O Father, glorify me together with yourself with the glory I had with you before the world was. So there you are. The Son had glory together with the Father before the world was.
That's right.
Well, they can't say. They've just told you the concept of eternal Son is heresy. The Trinity is heresy. But then when you back them into the corner, they say, well, yeah, the Son's eternal there. Of course he is.
Yeah.
You say, but you just said the Son's not eternal. Right? But to them, they're not contradicting themselves. Okay. Because when they say the Son is eternal, they don't mean that. What they mean is that Jesus, who is the Son, is eternal. And Jesus is the Father. So if you ask them, is the Son eternal? And they've told you, no such thing as eternal Son. You back them to a corner. They say, yes, the Son is eternal.
Yeah, yes. No wonder Tertullian had
but their explanation is, no, we don't believe in an eternal Son. We believe he who is inside the Son is eternal, and he who is inside the Son is the Father. Mm. Right? So when I say the Son is eternal, what I mean is the Son is not eternal. He who is in the Son, that's the Father who is in the Son, is eternal.
Yes.
So it's like spaghetti. It's so convoluted, where they say one thing but they mean something else, and then words have hidden meanings, and words have multiple hidden meanings that they can change the meanings of those words within seconds. So you just cannot tie them down. So the first thing to do with anyone that's Pentecostal is forget about the Greek and Hebrew. Just tie them down. What do you believe? And you have to do it face to face and actually write it down on a blackboard or a piece of paper in front of them. And say, do you believe that? And the moment you've done that, they will start denying that constantly.
Right, Robert, I'm going to go to work soon.
All right.
It's a pleasure talking to you. What I'll do is I'll send that NGO link that they spent 3 years on, and I'll really look forward to talking to you about the Trinity and soul and hellfire.
No, it must be one topic. I'll only do one topic.
Yeah, that's fine.
So choose one. I never told you I believe in hellfire. So what you don't do is put words in my mouth. You can ask me, do I believe in that?
Yeah.
But you don't say, I will talk to you, Robert, about hellfire as if you assume I'm going to defend that. You must allow me to defend my own belief and to define my own position.
Yeah.
Because one of the tricks in debating or discussing any religious text or philosophical text is you misdefine the other's position, and then you try and get them to defend that. David Bernard is absolutely brilliant at that. David Bernard, the head of the Oneness Church, United Pentecostal Church International, he's a genius at that.
Yeah, I only mentioned hell because it's one of my topics. Not everybody believes in it, of course. As I say, my 3 topics is the Trinity, the hell, and the soul. Those are my topiks, not that everybody believes those.
Could we choose one of those?
What would you like to you choose, and then we can continue the conversation.
Well, I'm actually reading lesson 29 at the moment, what happens when we die. I believe that when a Christian dies in the new covenant, their soul or spirit goes to be with Jesus. So how about that for the first topic? And we'll leave the Trinity for later.
Okay. The soul and Trinity, that's fine. And I'll send you this link to this.
Yes.
It says the Watchtower Society as a United Nations NGO, a critical look at the conspiracy theory. So I'll send you the link and then read it at your leisure.
But I'll only do one topic when I talk to you. I'm not flipping back to that and talking about the United Nations, and then we do the Trinity and the soul, and we're changing the moment. So
I understand.
So I'm interested in what happens when a Christian dies, context from the New Covenant onwards. I believe a Christian goes to be with Jesus. I believe that's what the Bible says.
That's fine. That's fine. This NGO thing is a separate thing altogether. You read it at your leisure.
Yeah.
That's all. Whatever you want to, Robert.
I'm
That's
free
fine.
any evening. All I would ask is just text me the day before,
Yes.
letting me know an exact time, and I will be by the phone at that time. I'm free almost every evening, but I don't really care when you want to speak, as long as you can choose the time. I don't have a family. I don't have kids, so it's fine. But it's just convenient to let me know the exact time and the exact topic that you want to discuss, because I always prepare.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. To say it's just about the soul, and basically, when a Christian or when a servant of God dies, does he go somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
If you've written anything on the Trinity, then you can post that to me, and I would like to do some preparation and look at that for a week or two before we discuss the Trinity, which is my main favourite topic.
Would you prefer that I send it to your email address or the? I
can't access my emails at the moment. I don't know what's gone wrong.
All right. I'll send them to this number as an attachment.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. Thank you so much.
All right, Rod. You have a nice day.
Same to you. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye for now.